Greetings YouTube, welcome back to the MetaNerd channel. I am Marcus, bringing you another video for Cardfight Vanguard Overdress. In this video, of course, we will be going through Nirvana as well as Youthberk support that we have in DBT07. This might be the second last video for DBT07. I hope to finish up DBT07 reveals hopefully in another video because there's still like a little bit more to go. So I know you guys have been asking for the updated Bruce Julian deck profile. I will be doing that probably right after I finish up DBT07 because if this keeps on dragging, I will not have the chance to catch up for DBT08. Let's take a look at the support that Nirvana as well as Youthberk received. First off, we have Crush equipped Gatoyagard. Auto when this card becomes an original dress, if your soul has no card, so charge 2. This card does helps you replenish some of your soul resources because as you guys already know, Nirvana as well as Vairina support that we have for DBT07 does require you to have a very decent amount of soul, only then are they able to function better. With this card in the mix, even if you run out of soul, this card I think will be helping you to get back that soul charge, get back the soul resources. However, you most probably will almost always have soul. You do personal, right? And there's not a lot of stuff in Dragon Empire, or more specifically this Nirvana deck that actually utilize the soul blast. So it's not really that good of a card to be run because you definitely will have soul. That's the problem with this card. So most likely a skip, but it's a nice to have card, so you don't necessarily have to not run this card, but there are other better cards to be run for now. Next up, we have an order card, Twin Blades that Slice Sorrow. Play this with Counterblast 2. Choose one of your rear guards with original dress and it gets critical +1 until the end of turn. So giving one of your Vairinas the critical is actually quite disgusting. In particularly Garo Vairina, which will require the opponent to use 2 cards to guard. Giving that Vairina a 2 critical is disgusting. But the Counterblast, I think it's too heavy. As Nirvana's deck stands, it's using Counterblast like my monthly salary. But yeah, it's actually too heavy of a cost to be run inside Nirvana deck for now. Most likely a skip. Next, we have Lavamane Wyvern, auto rear circle. At the end of the battle that this unit boosted a Vanguard with Nirvana in its card name, put this unit into your soul. Choose one of your rear guards with original dress, it gets 10k power until the end of turn. You have more soul resources. This card does help power up one of your Vairinas, but it can only boost the Vanguard, so most of your Vairinas will not get like the maximum benefit because this will only give the 10k power to one of our Vairinas after that Vairina restands from Nirvana's skill. So it's not really that great of a card, but still the power is actually very nice. And not to mention, this card does gives you an extra soul, which is not that bad. Probably skipping, but 1 or 2, I think it's fair to squeeze inside Nirvana deck, although the ratio is a little bit wacky at that point. Next, we have Assault Equipped Dragon Valsavul, a Prayer Dragon. Auto, when this card becomes an original dress, cost Counterblast 1, choose a grade 1 or less Prayer Dragon from your drop and call it to rearguard circle. So this card does helps you like basically get another Prayer Dragon on the field. For example, I think Brahmada is the best example here, just so that you can actually cross overdress into another Vairina as well as exchange your hand a little bit. But then again, the Counterblast here, we do see a lot of Counterblast now, so it's very heavy at this point. There's no counter charge of any sort for now for Nirvana deck, which is having a little bit of a crisis here. A Counterblast crisis. But then again, it's a good tech-in, but I don't really recommend due to this card costing 1 Counterblast, so probably a skip. But then again, once we get more support, I think we should be able to get like a counter charge unit. Please just give Nirvana a counter charge already. Next is the Double R, Break Equipped Dragon Urbago. It's a Prey Dragon. Auto, when this card becomes an original dress, cost Counterblast 1, so charge 1. Choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. So, as you can see, Counterblast. Each and every card that we actually go through costs a Counterblast, so... yeah. Other than that, this card provides you with 1 soul, which is going to be very important once we get into Baur Vairina, which is the new form for Vairina, as well as giving you a Field Snipe, which retires a opponent rearguard, which is actually very nice. This card, I think it's going to be one of the staplers if you do want to play Baur Vairina, which you should be Baur Vairina if you already know what his skill is. It's actually super broken. This card is actually very nice, but Counterblast. Can we stop? Can we stop giving Counterblast already? Or If you want to give that many counterblast, at least give a counter charge. Come on. Next, of course, Flaring Cannon equipped Baur Vairina. Of course, the crossover dress. Second skill, Active Rigor Circle. If this unit is in crossover dress state, cast Soul Blast 2, choose one of your opponent's rigor and retire it. Second skill, Auto Rigor Circle. When this unit is in crossover dress state, attacks the Vanguard. This unit gets 2k power until the end of the battle for each of your opponent's open rigor circle. Then if your opponent has one or less rear guards, cast Counterblast 1. Until the end of that battle, this unit gets drive -1 and this unit performs drive check. Yeah. Vairina just got a new attacker. This card is a stupidly broken card if you have the counterblast, that is. You can see how many counterblasts we have so far. This costs a counterblast, Urbago costs a counterblast, each and every prayer dragon, almost all of them, cost 1 counterblast. Nirvana Jiva costs 1 counterblast. Yeah. Although Soul Blasting 2 to snipe a rearguard is actually very nice, and not to mention this skill is not once per turn as shown in the anime. So as long as you have the soul, you're able to retire your opponent rearguard, like a lot of them. So it's actually very nice. So soul is actually very important, not to the extent of the counterblast, but still it is quite important, because you need your opponent to have 1 or less rearguard. Only then you're able to do the drive check. And a good thing about Soul Blasting 2 to retire 1 is that the meta in Vanguard nowadays don't really have a full board of Vanguard, unless of course you are going up against Bastion as well as maybe Youthberk. But generally in Vanguard, the opponent does not really have like a full board of rearguards. But even if they do have a full board of rearguard, if you manage to retire each and every one of them, I think it's actually super nice. And not to mention the power boost is nice, and the drive check, as we all know, drive check is just disgusting. This unit having drive check is actually very disgusting. But at the minimum, total of 3 counterblasts will be used for the full combo if you do want to drive check on 2 of Baur Vairina's attack. So as mentioned before, counterblast is a very big issue for Nirvana. Moving forward to Cairbre Sanctuary, we have Wayward Therapy Angel. Continuous, this card cannot be ridden and cannot be normal call to rearguard from hand. Second skill, auto. When this unit is discarded from hand during your turn, if your Vanguard is a grade 3 or greater, cast Soul Blast 1 and call this card to a back row rearguard circle. So it's a 10k grade 1, which makes sense why you cannot write this card or normal call from the hand, but because it's a 10k, it's actually quite disgusting. The 2k difference actually does make a big difference. It's a major plus when discarded from Youthberk. You're basically discarding 1 card and you get 3 rearguards onto the board, provided you have the right units to call from the top of your deck. And the most important thing here is that this card is actually generic. It's not tied to Youthberk, so meaning other decks could actually use this card. But whether or not you want to use this card inside those decks, it's still a debate, because for example, Bastion do discard card on their turn, but this unit is a grade 1, so it's not really that plausible to run this card inside Bastion. And for the next grade 1, we have Witch of Accumulation, Sequana. Continuous Rigor Circle. During your turn, if you have a Vanguard with Youthberk in its card name, this unit gets 2k power. Second skill, Auto Rigor Circle. When your unit is placed on Vanguard by the RevolForm ability, put this unit into your soul, choose one of your Vanguard and increase or decrease its drive to 1 until the end of turn. Yeah. I think this is probably the card that we will be expecting when RevolForm ability actually reveals. This is a 10k booster and it gives whatever you RevolForm into a drive check, which is very disgusting. This unit being a 10k booster makes magic number together with either Skyfall or Protofall arms of Youthberk, because it's a 10k. Together with Youthberk, it's a 23k already, so it's a very big number. At least forces your opponent to basically throw a 20k shield. It's still a 1 pass. This unit provides soul, although it does not look like it, but Youthberk actually do use quite a bit of soul if you do keep on using like Wayward Therapy Angel or the new grade 2 that we will talk in the later video. But yeah, it's actually not too bad, but still, the soul resources is not really the important one. The important one here is the drive check. The drive check makes any RevolForm having that 1 drive check super disgusting. And not to mention, Gus has twin drive. But do remember, you will need to activate Sequana's skill first before you activate Gus. Otherwise, you will still be stuck at 1 drive check. So keep in mind, don't question it. Just activate Sequana first, only then you activate Gus. Burn it into your mind. And of course, the triple R for Youthberk. Well, not necessary for Youthberk. It's actually generic. Knight of Rendering Flash, Cairbre. Although when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, cost Counter Blast 1 and Soul Blast 1, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, choose a card from among them, reveal it to your rearguard, call it to rearguard circle if it is a grade 2 or less unit card, and put it into your hand if it isn't. Shuffle your deck. So it's basically generic. All of Cater Sanctuary decks could use this, but it's a grade 2, so Bastion probably won't use this. The rest of the right line should be able to use this. This is basically your consistency unit in getting your RevolForm or basically any other unit. So by discarding one, ideally you want to discard Wayward Therapy Angel, and you get this card on top of the top 3 of your deck. Yeah, you basically just call them out. So from one discard hand, you're able to get 3 rearguards onto the board, which is super disgusting. And not to mention this deck does filters the deck too, so it's actually very, very nice. The only downside to this card, as opposed to the triple R that Youthberk gets in DBT06, is that this unit does not give power or gain power himself, which kind of suck, but due to the efficiency in this card's skill, I guess it's basically balanced out. Otherwise, it will be too broken. And of course, Buttercup for Youthberk. Did I just say Buttercup? Youthberk RevolForm Tempest. Auto, when this unit is placed on Vanguard Circle by the RevolDress ability, all of the front row units gets 5k power until the end of turn. Then Counter Blast 1, reveal the top 2 cards from the top of your deck, choose one of your opponent's rearguard with the same grade as any of the reveal cards and put it into the bottom of your deck. Put all of the reveal cards into your hand. Second skill is basically going back to either Skyfall or Protofall. For the Boomer players, this is basically Aura Geyser Doom. The skill is almost similar. Almost. It's basically that skill with a slight difference in terms of the cost as well as retire instead of return to bottom. So yeah, Buttercup here does not really restrict you from waiting a turn, only then you ideally want to RevolForm into, because unlike the other two, Blossom as well as Bubbles, those 2 cards actually do have additional restriction. Only then you're able to activate their skill. So this card is a very insane card and basically justified why it's so expensive. Not only does it replenish your hand, it also gives a front row power up. And not only that, you're able to snipe one of your opponent's rearguards, which the opponent may or may not get that rearguard back. So yeah, it's basically well worth the price of the Bushiroad sets for it. I mean, this card is insane. Do be very careful though, because even before Tempest, Youthberk as a general does deck out quite often already. So with the addition of Tempest, you might deck out quite fast if you're not careful. So do be very careful about it, because you might just deck yourself out. And that is all for Nirvana as well as Youthberk. Do let me know down in the comment section on what do you think of the support cards for these 2 right lines for DBT07. Do like and subscribe if you like this video, and of course during the bell notification icon so that you don't miss a video I upload. With that being said, I'll see you all on the field.